The Evans Gambit starts with e4, e5, knight to f6, knight to c6, bishop to c4, and then bishop to c5. This is a starting position of the Evans Gambit. Now, the main idea of the Evans Gambit is to gain a quick lead in development that puts constant pressure on your opponent, in which he is likely to make mistakes. And we want to take advantage of that. Now, this is a key idea of the Evans Gambit, and it should guide you in this opening. I also recommend that you take a look at our 2 other videos on this opening, especially the excellent Bobby Fischer game, so that you can get a deeper understanding of the ideas behind this opening. Let's see how it works. From here, the signature move of the Evans Gambit is pawn to b4, attacking the black bishop with the idea of sacrificing a pawn for quick lead in development and to start putting pressure on black with every move. Now, 75% of the time black captures his pawn, and white moves to c3, attacking the bishop again. Black must move his bishop, and from here there are 2 main lines in the Evans Gambit that occur 85% of the time, and that's 85%, and we know it because we analyzed 100 million online games of actual players from the last 6 months. Now, in the first line, black moves his bishop to c5, and in the second line, black moves the bishop to a5. So we have c5 and a5 as you see here on the screen. Now I put a timestamp for the second line if you want to jump ahead. Now from here, most players play bishop to c5, returning to their original position, which is already a slight mistake. You see, by putting the pressure on black, we're causing black to make mistakes here. Now, it allows white to attack again with pawn to d4. From here, 94% of the time, black captures on d4. Now, white needs to castle here, and for 3 reasons, and that's the main line of the Evans Gambit. First, to bring the rook to e1 so it can join and support the future attack on the king through the e-file. 2 is to minimize the risk on the king during the attack we're going to do on black. And 3 is to actually induce black. We want to induce black to take on c3, which he does most of the time. Now here, using the principle of constant pressure on your opponent, white captures a pawn on f7 with a check on the king. Now, black is usually very surprised here, but black captures the bishop. And now we come in with queen to d5, again attacking at every step, attacking the king and the bishop at the same time. Now, the king moves to e8. We check again with queen to h5, like an in-between move, to induce black to move his pawn to g6 and creating this weakness on the rook by opening the line to the rook for a possible capture in the future. So now, after the pawn to g6, we capture the bishop on c5, black plays d6, attacking the queen, and we can capture the pawn on c3, eyeing the black rook on h8. Now, to protect his rook, black most of the time plays here knight to f6. So we're in a position that only after 13 moves or so, using the principle of quick lead in development and constant pressure on black with every move, we achieved an excellent position to possibly win the game. And you can see that also the engine evaluation of the position is about plus 4.5 in favor of white. So this was the first line. Let's take a look at the second main line. Now, starting from this position, after we attack the bishop on c3, 35% of the time, black moves bishop to a5, keeping the bishop on this strong diagonal. Now, white attacks in the center with d4, and black almost always captures on d4. Now, white castles for similar reasons like in line 1, and also to unpin the pawn on c3 that you can see on the screen. Black takes on c3 with his pawn, and here again, using the principle of rapid development and keeping the pressure on black, white brings his queen to b3 to create this interesting battery against the weak f7 square, which is also only protected by the king. Now, in most cases, black responds with queen to e7 to help his king defend the f7 square. White develops the knight to bring another piece into the attack and capture the pawn on c3. Now, black wants to castle because he's under pressure as soon as possible, so he develops his knight to f6. Now, again, white attacks with knight to d5, hitting the queen on e7. Now here, black captures a knight, and white captures back with the pawn, again attacking another piece. Now you can see that because of white's constant pressure, black does not have the time to castle. He needs to respond to the constant attacks of white. Black moves his knight to e5, and white captures on e5, and black captures with a queen. Again, white attacks with his bishop to b2, hitting the poor queen again. Now black's best response here is to move queen to g5, which leads to a very similar ending like we saw in the Bobby Fischer game.